Well, welcome everyone to the 3-minute thesis finale competition. I am your host, Fernando, and I'm a grad specialist in the graduate education department here. And today we have 5 finalists who we will be recognizing, and they will be competing for first place, runner-up, and People's Choice Award. So, before that, we'll go ahead and go over what the 3-minute thesis is, for those that don't know. 3-minute thesis was started in 2008 at the University of Queensland in Australia. And since then, it's grown to over 900 universities and 80 countries. And so what is the 3-minute thesis? So this competition is an opportunity for students to showcase and effectively explain their research, and they have 3 minutes to do so using one PowerPoint slide. And it is a static slide, so no movement, no help on it as far as transitions or videos or anything like that. So, and they do, and the challenge is that they need to use language appropriate to a non-specialist audience or a general audience that is not an expert in that field. And then this competition cultivates academic presentation, and research communication skills. So why compete? What's in it for our students? Well, this finale is being recorded, and so students have the opportunity to have a professional summary of their research, and they can use that for their portfolio, their website, social media, LinkedIn, as well as professional interviews. For scholarship prizes, we will be awarding $500 scholarship prize for the first place winner. Runner-up will receive $300. And then the People's Choice, which is voted by you, by our people, they will have a scholarship prize of $200. And then first place winner will represent S&T at the regional competition in April, which is being held in St. Louis. It is the Midwestern Association of Graduate Schools regional competition. And so aside from the scholarship prize, first place will represent S&T. Runner-up will have the opportunity to represent S&T in case first place cannot attend. And then again, like I said, People's Choice is voted on by you. So, and we have the live audience, and then also our virtual audience as well will be voting on the People's Choice. So before tonight, we did have preliminary and semifinal rounds. And so at this time, I just want to recognize our judges that helped us get through those rounds. And so I've listed those people there. And these judges also have provided valuable feedback to our contestants in those first few rounds. And so today we get to kind of see how, how they improved and get to see their final presentation. And then for our current finalists, for our current finale judges, we have Cody Hans, we have Dr. Lee Hickerson, we have John Butts, we have Dr. Gale, and then we have Dr. Barrett. And then these 5 judges will be making their decision based on these 4 judging criteria. So comprehension, how well did the student comprehend the research? Content, the content itself. Communication, how well they communicated that to our audience, and engagement, how well they engaged. And so, so this is not only about their research skills, but as well as their presentation skills. And so these are our 5 finalists for our 3-minute thesis finale. And so up first, we have Rachel Bauer, who is an explosive engineering PhD student. And the title of her presentation is Understanding the Cost of Blast-Induced TBI, How Research Design Compares to Reality. So.
Give me a little hint, though. Oh, I get this one.
Or that one.
Are they both on?
Nope, that one's on.
This one's on. Okay. Do I have to go next to my slide, or are you going next to my slide? You're going next to my slide. Many of us know someone in the military who has been exposed to a traumatic brain injury. These injuries are all too common among our military members, yet their causes, treatments, and prevention are still not well understood. Researchers across the country use shock tunnels to understand the effects of a shockwave in a laboratory setting. These tunnels can be large square expansion tunnels, like the orange one in the center of the slide, or they can be small diameter, straight, circular tunnels, like the one in the bottom right. Now, frequently, these tunnels are used to create one single shock wave and one pressure peak, like the graph in the top right-hand corner. In reality, this is not what our military members are exposed to when they're out in the battlefield. Shock waves reflect off the ground, off of buildings, and in breaching scenarios, like the top left-hand corner, the shock waves can even reflect off of other people. This results in a pressure profile like the bottom left-hand corner, where there are multiple pressure peaks from these shock waves reflecting off of different things. Now, a shock tunnel will produce one incident shock wave, but at the exit of the tunnel, there will also be a vortex ring formed from the fluid flowing through the tunnel. I used circle, square, triangle, and hexagon shock tunnels to study these vortex rings and the shock tunnels themselves by shooting the vortex rings at each other. And I found that when the vortex rings collide head-on, they create a shock wave. This is in addition to the initial shock wave produced by the tunnel itself. And regardless of tunnel size or geometry, this shock wave is still produced. And even for triangle vortex rings, which travel much slower than their circular counterparts, they collide and they produce this shock wave. So many TBI researchers ignore the effect of this vortex ring. They only study the initial shock wave, they report a pressure like the one in the right-hand corner, and that is the extent of their study. But we can design shock tunnels to better replicate what our soldiers are experiencing in the field. Using tunnels, like the one in the bottom with the giant fireball, we can create larger vortex rings and shock reflections so that we can ultimately make that graph in the top right-hand corner look more like the one in the bottom left, with the ultimate goal of understanding and eventually preventing traumatic brain injuries. Thank you.
Good job, Rachel. All right. So next, we have Mohammed El-Mahalawi, who is a computer science PhD student and will be presenting on stopping the spy, securing distributed deep learning on low Earth orbit satellites.
Recently, we have seen a surge of low Earth orbit satellites launched into space, equipped with high-resolution cameras and sensors. These satellites capture images of military sites and border areas for surveillance. However, attackers can spy on the communication between satellites and ground stations for some countries. It is not only a spying. The attackers can take a step further by manipulating or intercepting those images and send fake images back to the ground station. It is a nightmare security problem, right? Well, my proposed approach is the stone that kills two birds. The first bird enables satellites to train machine learning model on borders using their capture images. And instead of downloading those images to the ground station, they just download their trained models. This way, attackers and eavesdroppers are kept scratching their heads because no images will be transmitted anymore. But wait, there is more. My second bird not only ensures that there is no data will be transmitted to the ground station, but also keeps the transmitted machine learning models completely secure against any attack. How? Simply, we allow each satellite, after training its machine learning model, to encrypt it to a ciphertext, and using its generated private secret keys, which is already generated on board. So the attackers cannot even understand what is the message being transmitted right now, which effectively improves the security of our data in space. Overall, my approach is solving the communication and ensure the security of the communication between satellites down and protecting our vital data in space from being tampering with or manipulating by keeping the data is hidden with secure machine learning models. Thank you.
Thank you, Mohammed. Next up, we have Abid Hassan Rafi, who's a mechanical engineering student, presenting on optimization of ceramic paste for additive manufacturing. You'll have to turn it on.
I need to turn it on? Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, today I'll talk about optimization of ceramic paste for additive manufacturing. So ceramic, I assume everyone from my audience use ceramic cups or plates in their household. Maybe some of you have experience of breaking them while handling, because ceramic is very difficult to handle. But still, we are using ceramic because they're beautiful and they look very fancy, but that's not the only reason we're using ceramic. Ceramic offers us some higher properties over other materials. Same as in engineering, ceramic is the best material if you consider high temperature and high pressure conditions. But same in our daily life, ceramic is difficult to process and handle, so that's why conventional manufacturing process is not applicable over there. So in my research, I'm using extrusion-based 3D printing or additive manufacturing, where I use ceramic, make ceramic paste, and I depositing them layer by layer to ultimately produce complex ceramic parts. That's conventional manufacturing cannot do. And here, as a complex ceramic part, we are considering a compact heat exchanger, which is a part of power generation system. There are a lot of microchannels inside it, and during its operation, hot fluids will pass through those microchannels in high pressure. So when we prepare our ceramic paste with ceramic powder, we add water. Then we add binder to thicken our paste so that it can hold its shape after deposition. And we add dispersant so that the ceramic powders, they don't create agglomerates or making clumps with each other. So when you look into our printed manufactured parts, we found out that there are some porosity closer to microchannels, and during the operation of heat exchanger, those porosity can have a bad effect of our printed part and can lead to earlier failure. So we need to solve this issue, or we'll have a feelings of breaking a beautiful ceramic part. So when you look into our study, at first we started to working on this binder, and we found out that if we use aqueous solution of binder instead of using it as a powder, we can reduce the amount of pores, as you can see in the middle photo. Then we started to work on this dispersant, and we found out that dispersant has a reverse effect, same as medicine. If we took too much medicine compared to what we need, we can have a reverse, a negative effect on our body. Same as the dispersant, like we need to find out the optimum amount, what can reduce the amount of porosity. So ultimately, figuring out also the perfect amount of dispersant, we can see that we can lower down the amount of porosity in our parts, which reducing the chance of failure of our part. So thank you very much for being here. Yeah, keep loving ceramics.
Thank you, Abid. All right, and next we have Yasmin Atia, who is a computer science PhD student, and her presentation is Explainable Early Alzheimer's Disease, Detection to Support Early Intervention.
I've always believed in the ability of computer science to make an impact in multiple fields, and the field that's closest to my heart is healthcare. And so when I remembered my mother, who started to experience some memory issues, I decided to work on Alzheimer's disease. Alzheimer's disease is the most common type of dementia and is one of the top leading causes of death in the United States. The number of people living with AD doubles every 5 years, estimated to reach to 14 million by 2060. And it does not only affect memory, but also coordination, language, mood, and more. And it has no cure, leaving the patients with poor quality of life and in constant need for support. Unfortunately, when doctors are presented with all the necessary information, it's very challenging for them to detect patterns of AD until it's too late. And so our objective is to detect early patterns of AD using machine learning. And the first challenge is that the symptomatology of AD is multimodal in nature, which means that the diagnosis depends on multiple types of data, including scans, medical history, and so on. And so we create a mathematical representation that combines all these information into one block, making it learnable by a machine. But despite the promising performance of the current multimodal models, we haven't yet seen any AD clinical decision support system that can be deployed in primary care, which leads us to the next challenge, trustworthiness. Why would a doctor or a patient trust a machine learning system with making a life and death medical diagnosis? And so we try to explain these machine learning black boxes and develop models that can be interpretable by design. We use the same mathematical representations to guide and correct the decision-making process of the machine learning models. And this way, we not only guarantee accurate predictions for the diagnosis, but also accurate reasons behind these diagnoses. And so this way, we encourage early diagnosis of Alzheimer's disease and so early intervention. And finally, my take-home message is daily habits. Alzheimer's disease may not be reversible, but it's indeed preventable. Thank you.
Awesome. Great job, Yasmin. All right. And so lastly, we have our final presenter, Peter Obidi, who is a mechanical engineering PhD student, and the title of his presentation is Revolutionizing Sustainability and Astrobiotic Advancements Through Nexus Optimization of Algal Systems for a Greener Future.
Who is responsible for climate change and carbon emission? Of course, you know the answer. Since the Industrial Revolution, carbon emissions have been on the increase, where we have reduced air quality and global rise in temperatures and also environmental disasters. This is caused by our daily activities and the growing population demand. Now, if you look at these images, does any of this strike a sense of deja vu? Yes. This is Schumann Lake, where feasibility studies have shown that this lake is devoid of aquatic life and there is a laundry close by. High concentration of nutrients into the environment causes water pollution. Now, the revolution in sustainability needs us to focus more on sustainable ways to prevent our environment from destructions. Now, my research is focused on carbon recycling and wastewater remediation, where we are integrating algae photobioreactors into systems using cyanobacteria. Cyanobacteria helps to absorb carbon from the environment and also gives out oxygen, whereby it uses the wastewater nutrients to grow as well. And through photosynthesis, is able to use solar energy and to convert it to chemical energy. This chemical energy is stored efficiently as carbohydrate, protein, and as lipids, or you call it oil. My research is looking at what has been the challenges of commercializing algae system. One, cost, and also challenges of logistics. Now, in tackling this challenge, I'm using System of System Explorer, which is an algo optimization tool to see how we can focus on the areas that we can reduce cost. In doing this, after my assessment, the key performance index for us to focus on is affordability, sustainability, and robustness of the system. Now, this led to the development of a new catalytic membrane technology that helps to sequester carbon from the atmosphere and also from point source, while using wastewater to grow cyanobacteria. These cyanobacteria, in turn, yield clean water for us to use and also gives us biofuels in forms of that comes from lipid and also help with protein sources and livestock feed for animals and for our farms. Now, we've been able to save costs because we've reduced energy usage, water usage, and also reduce contamination from the environment. Since we've reduced costs, we can now commercialize this system. Commercializing this system can help reduce total carbon emission by 13.3 gigaton per year. That's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Peter. And at this time, we'll go ahead and take a brief break while our judges deliberate in the next room. And so, judges, you are dismissed to the next room. And at this time, Anita will pass out our People's Choice rubric to our live audience, in-person audience. And then those joining us over Zoom, we will put up a poll for you to vote. And so at this time, you'll just take the moment to vote for the People's Choice. And just a side note, whoever wins, the winner cannot also win People's Choice. So just a side note. But yeah, at this time, Anita will pass those out. And then once you fill them out, she will collect them and we'll tally up the count. So. Okay, everyone, thank you. Welcome back. Now it is time for our judges' decision. So first off, I just want to thank our judges once again for being here, making this difficult decision. So we really thank you guys, and then thank you to the judges who helped get us to this point. And then for the finalists for competing today. So we really thank you guys for being here. So, but we'll go ahead and get started. So, and then in advance, so the winners are receiving a paper certificate today, but you will get a plaque coming to you within the next coming weeks. So. Winner of this year's People's Choice Award, and also will be awarded $200 scholarship prize, is Rachel Bauer. All right, and the runner-up, so the runner-up of this year's finale, and also will be awarded $300 scholarship prize, as well as stand in the winner's place if they cannot make it to regionals, is Rachel Bauer, once again. All right, so that leads us to our first place winner. So the winner of this year's 3-minute thesis competition, who will again be awarded the $500 scholarship prize and also represent us at the regional competition in April, is Yasmin Atia. All right, well, guys, this concludes our program. If our finalists can stay behind for a few minutes and we'll get some pictures. Otherwise, I want to thank everybody for joining us today and making this a successful event. Thank our judges, our contestants, and as well as those who didn't make it to this finale. And then lastly, we thank our audience for being here, both in person and virtual as well. So thank you very much, and have a great evening.